AfriForum has argued that the Equality Court's order on the displaying of the old flag set off a series of unintended consequences for the future. It's told the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein that the order was made without meeting the required threshold to declare the act as hate speech. It contends that there should be facts about the act before determining whether something amounts to hate speech or not. Representing AfriForum, advocate Mark Oppenheimer has told the court that the displaying of the flag during the Black Monday protest in 2017 was not planned, and it was not even known what the intention or the reason behind the act was. Advocate Tembega Ngqaitobi, Senior Counsel, is speaking now. Let's listen in.
AfriForum concerning contemporary displays of the previous official flag of South Africa, which was introduced on 31 May 1928 with the entry into force of the Union, Nationality and Flags Act 40 of 1927, which was abolished on 27 April 1994. He then explains what that dispute is at paragraph 8. It says the Foundation holds the view that any gratuitous display of the old flag constitutes hate speech and harassment prohibited by Pepuda. A display would be gratuitous if it does not serve any genuine journalistic, academic, or artistic purpose in the public interest. Then he summarizes the view of AfriForum, which has been repeated today, that they have articulated an alternative view that even gratuitous displays of the old flag constitute protected speech under Section 16 of the Constitution, and has indicated that it would oppose any application for an order declaring displays of the old flag to be prohibited. So right at the outset, it was clear that this would be an application for a declaratory order applying generically. And AfriForum at the commencement stated that it would oppose that. Now, the context of that dispute is set out from paragraph 11 of that page 11. The essence of the story is that on 30th October 2017, there were nationwide demonstrations under the title Black Monday. Now, these were organized under the auspices of AfriForum and other organizations. The allegation is made, and it is common cause, that AfriForum played a leading role in these demonstrations and announced as follows in a statement issued on the same day. It says, today's gatherings are only the beginning of a campaign that will ripple outward even further and will become a bigger campaign. AfriForum already at today's gathering announced campaigns and safety plans in the fight against farm attacks and murders. So this was their event. They invited people to this Black Monday. At paragraph 12, it was widely reported that the old flag was displayed at some of the Black Monday demonstrations. And there were various examples then put up that show that the display was organized at an event organized by AfriForum, ostensibly to protest against farm murders. And then at page 13, it is then explained at paragraph 17. While these attitudes may not have animated all of the leaders and demonstrators on Black Monday, the occasion clearly fostered an enabling environment for these attitudes to flourish and for those holding them to feel comfortable, not only in bringing but brandishing the old flag without any fear or ostracism by the other demonstrators. So the criticism is made directly against AfriForum and the organizers that they have lit the fire, they must take the consequences. The dispute with AfriForum is then repeated at paragraph 19 at page 14. And this is illustrated in a debate with Mr. Kaligril and Mr. Hatang. And Mr. Hatang, well, Mr. Krill, it is explained what Mr. Krill said from page 15, A, B, C, D, and E. And then it is said at E, I indicated that the Foundation was seriously considering a court application to have displays of the old flag declared unlawful. In response, Mr. Krill laughed at me, accused me of trying to turn South Africa into a communist police state, and asserted that AfriForum would be willing to oppose any such court application. So AfriForum regarded this with a bit of derision and said it would oppose the application. And then at page 17, paragraph 24, well, paragraph 23 first at page 16, the Foundation respectfully submits that any gratuitous displays of the old flag contravenes the Equality Act in 3 ways. 1, it is unfair discrimination. 2, it is hate speech. 3, it is harassment. And then, paragraph 24, it's also made clear there at line 9. Gratuitous displays of the old flag are egregious examples of such behavior and should be met with these remedies. Then it says, but Black Monday and the resulting dispute that erupted between the Foundation and AfriForum have revealed the need for a declaratory order to this effect. Otherwise, many potential perpetrators and victims of this discrimination, hatred, and harassment will remain unaware of where the constitutional boundaries lie. So, 2 things ought to be said. The first one is that it was always clear that the dispute is about gratuitous displays. Secondly, it was always clear that the display at Black Monday was a gratuitous display. The position taken by AfriForum, it was interesting, Justice Savage, because you put this question, what was the attitude that you took in relation to the litigation? And you got an evasive answer, which was characteristic of the argument we listened to this morning. At page 98, AfriForum actually answers its attitude on Black Monday protests, and it defends them. It says at paragraph 62, the Black Monday protests were a spontaneous response to the murder of Western Cape farmer Hubert Conradie. Some of the reporting on the protests missed a pivotal issue of the brutal and frequent farm murders that have been carried out across the country, and instead focused their attention on claims that some protesters were carrying the old flag. The ENCA journalist, and they accuse now this journalist, Nicholas Bauer, of tweeting the following images of people wearing the old flag and banning the new flag, while creating the false impression that they were taking part in the Black Monday protests. Then he later issued an apology. But their bottom line is that this was our protest, and it was against farm murders, and that the reporting that says some people displayed the flag is wrong, but they admit that the flag indeed was displayed. But they explain their attitude a page earlier, page 97, under the heading, responding to offensive speech, where they say, paragraph 57, the best remedy for offensive speech is counter-dialogue. When people make racist statements or use offensive symbols, an opportunity is created for public discussion. Paragraph 58, most South Africans recoil from the old flag and openly denounce apartheid as a crime against humanity. Now, if you stop there and you ask yourself the question, what is the attitude of AfriForum on the old flag? It is not talking about its own attitude. It is talking about other people who denounce the old flag because of its association with apartheid, which was a crime against humanity. AfriForum itself does not denounce the old flag. It does not regard it as amounting to a crime, apartheid amounting to a crime against humanity. Instead, its attitude is revealed in the following sentence. Whenever anyone waves an old flag, it is an opportunity to engage that person and persuade them of the error of their ways. So that's the Coffee and the Cook sisters conversation. Paragraph 59, Mr. Hatang relates a personal story about how he felt when he heard about the old flag being waved. Now you remember that in the founding affidavit, Mr. Hatang said it reminded him as a child when he was asked in a white place, "Wat soek julle, yo K-word?" And this is how they respond to that, and it's actually quite demeaning. He says, during apartheid, the old flag was held aloft as a symbol of the past regime's power. At the time, it was seen as a constant reminder of an oppressive and a racist system. Today, the flag has largely been relegated to the dustbin of history. It is very unusual to see it displayed anywhere. On the rare occasion that the flag is displayed, it has the potential to be viewed in a new light. It can be viewed as a relic of a system that has been dismantled. In the new South Africa, we have a constitution that aims to treat everyone equally before the law and which recognizes people's inherent dignity regardless of their race. Now they talk about Mr. Hatta. The next time Mr. Hatang hears about the old flag being waved, he could use the opportunity to reflect on how far we have come as a nation. That's their attitude. So they explicitly embrace the waving of the old flag. They say that the victims of apartheid, like Mr. Hatang, must regard this as an opportunity to be engaged. And they say other people think that this is a denouncement of the crime against, of the crime of apartheid. So it's clear then that the dispute was between the Nelson Mandela Foundation and AfriForum, and the parameters of the dispute are clearly set out in the pleadings. And the argument you heard today is simply a fiction of AfriForum's own imagination. We move then to the next topic. If it's clear that is what was pleaded, and the judge understood correctly what was pleaded, we look at the judgment itself. The judgment at page 404, volume 3, recognizes that the dispute is fully pleaded in relation to Black Monday itself and in relation to general displays of the flag. And that is why at paragraph 205, the first declaration is targeted at the old flag, at the old flag in relation to Black Monday. And you will see that 404, page 205, and 405. And then paragraph 2 is a generic order, the declaration that any display of that flag would then be hate speech. And my learned friend, I heard him talking about the Malema versus AfriForum case. That judgment is also clear. It finds that the singing of Dobulipun is hate speech. That's the order, Justice Mabinda Pokwana. You asked about that, and you were again met with evasion. The fact of the matter is that that judgment finds that the singing of Dobulipun is hate speech. That, of course, does not mean that a party may not come to court that when I sang it, it was at a school, and it was in a history class, and therefore it was not hate speech. So it falls in the same category as the order that we have in this case. So that deals with topic 1. Was the case properly pleaded, and was the list properly identified? The fact of the matter is that it was. And it's true, Justice Savage, that Section 21, subsection 1 of the Act requires 2 things. The first is that an inquiry must be conducted, and clearly an inquiry was conducted. The second is once an inquiry has been conducted about a specific event, which was what transpired in this case, a declaration or a determination may then be made, and that's what happened in this case. So there's nothing really controversial there. The second question then that has to be answered is, what does this flag mean? And in this regard, the court has had various theoretical postulations about what the flag might mean in various contexts. But what does it mean historically and contemporaneously in the context in which AfriForum used it at the Black Monday event? We have a fully reasoned judgment in the High Court, which sets out the contemporary uses of the flag and the historical uses of the flag. And perhaps it might be the right time to circulate the pack of sources which the High Court refers to, but they may be difficult to actually source. Circulate 4. Yes, we will indeed email it to Justice Plaskett. And what we have included there So, President, what we have included there, you will see, is the old South African Constitution, the 1961 Constitution, the tricameral constitution of 1983, the debates when the flag was introduced in Parliament in 1926, and well as the debate when the flag was introduced in 1927, when it was finally adopted in 1927. Now, those are significant because they are fully set out in the judgment, because they make it quite clear what the historical meaning of the flag is. So there is no dispute about the historical meaning of the flag. We had initially thought that our learned friends will not enter the debate into the meaning of the flag and that the meaning would be beyond dispute. But plainly, the meaning is still disputed. It is, in fact, a form of denial speech. It's a form of denialism. So we start with the 1926 introduction of the Nationality and Flag Bill. And the relevant section here would be at page 7 of the document that I have introduced, which is page 4030 of Hansard. And this is the 25th of May, 1926. And the person speaking here is Malan, D.F. Malan, who at the time was the Minister of Interior. The brief context to this is that the National Party has entered into a coalition with the Labour Party, and they have now formed the pact government from 1923, and they have defeated the South African Party of Smuts. And what they are doing is they are introducing a new bill, and it will serve two purposes. The first one is to give white people of Dutch and English origin South African nationality. And we know that what accompanied that in 1927 was the total exclusion of Africans from South African nationality, because they were all regarded as natives under the Native Administration Act. So Malan is telling the world why he is introducing this bill. Now, he then explains, we haven't numbered this, but it's somewhere in the middle, towards the end of that passage on the right-hand column, where he explains why the flag is necessary. He says, a flag is not a mere cloth. A flag symbolizes national existence. A flag is a living thing. It is a repository of national sentiment. A flag is able to create the greatest enthusiasm. A flag is able to move to tears. A flag can stir the deepest springs of action, and it can inspire to the noblest efforts. For a flag, a nation can live, for it can fight and it can die. For that reason, there is nothing in the life of a nation which is so powerful and as unifying factor whenever there are different sections composing that nation as a national flag. Now, in the following page, he explains what those different nations are at 4032 at page 8. And he explains that those nations that would be united by the flag are the Dutch speakers and the English speakers. So he is talking about how to unite white South Africans. But united against who? Who will be united against the native populations of the country. So that was the first instance when the flag was introduced in 1926. It was not adopted in that instance because of the resistance by Jan Smuts. It would then come back for a second reading in May 1927. That you will find from page 16 of what I have introduced. And the clearest illustration of what this flag meant would be at page 4009, which is page 25 of the document there. And you will see this, it starts on the left column at the bottom of that page where the Minister of Interior speaks, and the following page where he continues. But basically what he explains is the following. He says, in this flag, the most characteristic feature is the cross, a red cross upon the white cross. In the flags of the world, we often have crosses, and the crosses always stand for the idea of the maintenance and the spread of Christian civilization. That has been so since the days of Constantine the Great, the first Roman emperor, who was converted to Christianity. On the eve of the great battle, which had to be decided whether Christian civilization or barbarism were to triumph, he saw in the skies, so the legend goes, a cross, and that was to him a sign of help and assistance from above and of victory. We find the same in the history of Denmark, when the first Danish king who accepted Christianity was on the eve of the decisive battle. He also saw, as the legend goes, a cross in the skies, and that also was to him a symbol of assistance from above and victory against the forces of barbarism. Then he continues there. That is also the significance of the three crosses in the Union Jack. It is always said that the Union Jack stands for righteousness, peace, and justice. Let it be so. I admit it is so. But why is this so? It is not because it is the flag of England only, but right from the beginning, these crosses have had their significance, and the significance is the maintenance and spread of Christian civilization, and it is Christian civilization that stands for righteousness, peace, and justice. So that's the English part of it. He then continues to the Dutch part. He says, that was the idea, the maintenance and spread of Christian civilization behind the landing in South Africa.
All right, and so we come out of those court proceedings in Bloemfontein.